There is lots of talk about GT7 Update 1.55 and the changes it brought in driving physics and force feedback. Some people are loving it, while others now feel much less in control over the car. So what's the issue? And should you change anything regarding my last recommended settings? I've redone some extensive testing to figure out how the force feedback settings work after the latest update. I gotta say the driving physics and steering wheel force feedback were noticeably improved in Update 1.55. So why are some people hating it, and why are they possibly experiencing some worse force feedback? Many are even now reporting lots of spinning out when drifting, especially during transitions. The answer lies in their force feedback settings, and which approach they were using in their settings prior to Update 1.52. I made a video 2 years ago explaining my approach regarding force feedback settings, and then remade another one after Update 1.52, explaining how everything changed, and presented my new different settings. These videos are linked in the description of this video. The difference is now even more amplified after Update 1.55. That's what's making the ones who didn't change their settings yet lose control over the car much more frequently. My last recommended settings didn't change much after Update 1.55, and the only difference is that I felt the need to lower the torque from 6 to 5 for my GT2, because they increased the FFB strength and it feels better and more responsive now. Prior to Update 1.55, I found it a bit slow and less responsive to the behavior of the front wheels when I set the torque to 5, so I had to raise the torque to 6 for it to be more helpful when driving on the edge or when drifting, even though it felt excessively heavy. Now it seems that they adjusted the torque curve to better represent the important lower forces, and to keep the wheel fast enough in response to the behavior of the front wheels. This should highly benefit the folks using weaker steering wheels, such as the G29. I also increased the vibrations now from 0 to 70, after recommending to turn them completely off in my previous video. They no longer heavily blind your feeling of the forces and vibrations related to the changes in direction of the front wheels. I found them to add some helpful depth to the driving experience now, and I think this has to do with the newly increased strength and force feedback, which prevents the lower forces from being washed away by the added vibrations. But I'm not sure about how much these vibrations could now be increased for gear-driven wheels such as the G29 without causing some annoying and gear-damaging rattling. So you should do your own testing, and maybe keep the vibrations off if needed. Now in summary, to get the best control over the car, you need to set the controller steering sensitivity to 10, and the force feedback sensitivity to 1, as mentioned with more details in my previous video for Update 1.52, linked in the description of this video. The max torque setting should be set depending on which wheel you're using, which I set at 5 for my GT2. You can now increase the vibration function up to 70%. You will now feel everything that the front wheels are doing properly, which also makes it feel the most realistic possible. To put these settings into best use, you should learn how to drift properly to always have maximum control over your car, even when racing. You can watch part 1 of my drifting tutorial series here. You can also watch the more detailed force feedback video for after Update 1.52 here. I will always be testing any new physics update to give you the best force feedback settings, so make sure to subscribe to stay up to date.